Have you ever wondered why North Korea, a small country with a population of just 25 million people, commands so much international attention? North Korea is a land of paradoxes, shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Its isolation from the rest of the world, coupled with its reputation for unpredictability, has fueled an insatiable curiosity. Yet behind the enigma there lies a nation with a rich history and a unique culture. Join us as we delve into the fascinating history of this enigmatic nation. Our journey begins in the aftermath of World War II. As the smoke of conflict cleared and the world began to heal, an unexpected division was taking shape on the Korean peninsula. The end of the war had left a vacuum of power in its wake, and two superpowers stepped in to fill it, the Soviet Union to the north, and the United States to the south. This division was initially meant to be a temporary solution, a way to manage the administrative details of surrendering Japanese forces. But as we've often seen in history, temporary solutions can evolve into permanent realities. The 38th parallel, a line of latitude, became more than just a geographical marker. It became a line of political and ideological division. On one side, under the influence of the Soviet Union, a communist regime began to take shape. Kim Il-sung, a guerrilla fighter against the Japanese, emerged as a leader. He was a man who impressed both the people and the Soviets with his charisma and revolutionary spirit. On the other side, the United States established a democratic government, with Syngman Rhee at its helm. It was a stark contrast, a division not just of land, but of ideals and ways of life. Negotiations for reunification were attempted, but with both superpowers unwilling to relinquish their influence, the talks inevitably fell through. The temporary division had solidified into a permanent split, and the Korean peninsula, once united, was now two distinct nations. So it was that in September of 1948, Kim Il-sung declared the establishment of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, more commonly known as North Korea. A new nation had been born, one that would go on to play a significant role in the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century and beyond. This was a moment of hope and uncertainty, a moment when the future was a blank canvas waiting to be painted. It was a moment that marked the beginning of a journey that continues to unfold even today. Thus, in 1948, North Korea was born. The birth of North Korea was not a peaceful one. An echo of conflict resounded in the Korean peninsula in the mid-20th century, a strife that would shape the course of North Korea's history and its relationship with the world. This was the Korean War, a brutal and bloody conflict that erupted in 1950. The roots of this war were entwined with the aftermath of World War II. As the world was picking up the pieces, Korea was divided along the 38th parallel into two zones of influence. The North was backed by the Soviet Union, while the South was supported by the United States. This division, meant to be temporary, became a hotbed for political and ideological tension. The North, under the leadership of Kim Il-sung, sought to unite the peninsula under communism. The South, however, championed the cause of democracy. In June 1950, North Korea launched a surprise attack on its southern counterpart, marking the start of the Korean War. This was not just a battle between two Koreas but a proxy war, a stage where the Cold War superpowers flexed their muscles. The United Nations, led by the United States, intervened on behalf of South Korea, while China and the Soviet Union threw their weight behind the North. 3 years of intense fighting left a heavy toll, with millions of lives lost and cities reduced to rubble. An armistice was signed in July 1953, but a formal peace treaty was never reached. Technically, the two Koreas are still at war. The aftermath of the war had a profound impact on North Korea. The devastation and the perceived threat from the West led the country to adopt a policy of self-reliance, or yuche. This, combined with the country's militaristic and isolationist policies, further strained North Korea's relationship with the international community. The Korean War left a deep and lasting impact on North Korea. It shaped the nation's destiny, casting a long shadow over its relationship with the world, a shadow that still lingers to this day. At the heart of North Korea's history is the Kim Dynasty. This family has been at the helm of the nation since its inception, shaping its identity, its politics, and its international reputation. In the late 40s, a charismatic and ambitious Korean guerrilla fighter named Kim Il-sung emerged from the shadows of World War II. With the support of the Soviet Union, he laid the foundations of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, more commonly known as North Korea. Kim Il-sung's leadership was characterized by a blend of nationalism, socialism, and Confucian values, a recipe that would come to define the nation. Kim Il-sung skillfully crafted a cult of personality around himself. He was often portrayed as a godlike figure, the benevolent father of the nation who single-handedly fought off the imperialists. This personality cult was not just about Kim Il-sung though. It was designed to secure the future of the Kim Dynasty. After Kim Il-sung's death in 1994, his son Kim Jong-il ascended to power. Kim Jong-il continued his father's policies, maintaining a firm grip on power and the personality cult. His rule was marked by economic hardship, famine, and increasing international isolation, but the Kim dynasty's grip on power remained unshaken. The current leader, Kim Jong-un, took the reins after his father's death in 2011. Much like his father and grandfather, Kim Jong-un has continued the tradition of the personality cult, positioning himself as a godlike figure. He has also pursued aggressive foreign policies and nuclear development, further isolating North Korea on the global stage. The Kim dynasty's influence extends beyond politics. It permeates every aspect of North Korean life, from education and culture to the economy and foreign policy. The Kims are not just the leaders of North Korea, they are the embodiment of the nation's identity. The Kim dynasty has shaped North Korea to be what it is today. Its legacy is one of resilience, defiance, and isolation, yet it remains a fascinating study of power, personality, and nation-building in one of the world's most enigmatic countries. Underneath the politics, what is life like for the average North Korean? North Korea's economy, tightly controlled by the state, operates on a unique blend of socialist principles and Juche ideology, a philosophy of self-reliance instilled by the country's founder, Kim Il-sung. The economic system is a centralized command economy, meaning the government plans and controls all aspects of economic production, leaving very little room for private enterprise. The majority of the population works in state-owned industries and collective farms. Despite this, the country faces numerous economic challenges, including outdated infrastructure, lack of technological advancement, and chronic food shortages. These shortages have led to a surprising development: the emergence of informal markets, known as jangmadang. Here, North Koreans trade goods and services, providing a lifeline for many in an otherwise restrictive economic environment. Socially, North Korean society is strictly hierarchical, based on a person's songbun or socio-political classification. This system, based on a family's perceived loyalty to the regime, determines everything from job opportunities to housing location. It's an entrenched structure that leaves little room for social mobility. Living conditions in North Korea are difficult to ascertain due to the country's isolation. However, reports suggest that many citizens face challenges such as limited access to electricity, clean water, and healthcare. Housing is provided by the state, but often lacks basic amenities. In rural areas, conditions can be even more challenging, with reports of persistent food insecurity. Human rights in North Korea is a contentious topic, with numerous reports of severe restrictions on freedom of expression, movement, and information. The state maintains a robust surveillance system, and dissent is not tolerated. This has led to international criticism and calls for reform, but change is slow in coming. Life in North Korea is a stark contrast to the outside world. Despite the challenges, the North Korean people show resilience, navigating life under a system that is unlike any other. This resilience, born out of necessity, paints a picture of a society that is both complex and deeply human. One cannot discuss North Korea without mentioning its nuclear ambitions. North Korea's quest for nuclear weaponry has been a long and winding journey, as labyrinthine as it is controversial. The origins of this ambition can be traced back to the Cold War, when the country first began its nuclear research under the aegis of the Soviet Union. However, it wasn't until the late 90s that the world began to sit up and take notice. In 1993, North Korea announced its withdrawal from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. This was a bold move, signaling the nation's intent to develop nuclear weapons. The international community responded with alarm and concern, leading to a series of diplomatic efforts aimed at denuclearizing the Korean peninsula. These efforts, however, have been fraught with many challenges and setbacks. North Korea has carried out several nuclear tests over the years, each one more powerful than the last. These tests have not only heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula, but also raised serious questions about global security. With each test, North Korea moves a step closer to becoming a fully fledged nuclear power, a prospect that keeps many world leaders awake at night. The international community has responded with a range of measures, including economic sanctions and diplomatic isolation. However, these have done little to deter North Korea from its nuclear path. Instead, they seem to have only hardened the country's resolve to become a nuclear-armed state. North Korea's nuclear ambitions are more than just a regional issue. They have far-reaching implications for the global order. They challenge the non-proliferation regime and pose a direct threat to international peace and security. They also complicate efforts to achieve denuclearization on the Korean peninsula, and could potentially spark a nuclear arms race in East Asia. The pursuit of nuclear weapons by North Korea is a complex issue, intertwined with the country's history, ideology, and security concerns. It's a puzzle that the world is still trying to solve, a conundrum that continues to confound and worry. North Korea's nuclear ambitions continue to be a cause for concern. So, where does North Korea stand today? As we journey into the present day, North Korea remains a captivating enigma on the global stage. The nation, under the leadership of Kim Jong-un, the third generation of the Kim Dynasty, continues to be one of the most isolated and secretive societies in the world. Despite this isolation, North Korea's influence extends far beyond its borders, largely due to its nuclear program and the resulting international tensions. North Korea's relationship with the international community is complex and often strained. The country's nuclear ambitions and human rights abuses have led to widespread condemnation and sanctions from global powers. Despite diplomatic efforts, North Korea has continued to develop its nuclear arsenal, a move that has provoked anxiety and concern worldwide. And yet, there have been glimmers of change. In recent years, we've seen North Korea take tentative steps towards diplomatic engagement. There have been historic meetings with South Korea and the United States, signaling a potential shift in the country's approach to international relations. However, these moments of promise are often followed by periods of tension and stalemate, reinforcing the unpredictable nature of North Korean politics. Within its borders, North Korea faces ongoing challenges. The country's economy, heavily sanctioned and largely state-controlled, struggles to provide for its population. Food insecurity and lack of access to basic amenities are common issues, exacerbated by natural disasters and the government's focus on military expenditure over public welfare. Despite these hardships, the North Korean regime maintains a strong grip on society. The state's pervasive propaganda machine and strict control over information have created a society where dissent is rare, and the leadership is revered. Yet, even in this tightly controlled environment, there are signs of a slowly changing society. The advent of technology and illicit information networks have started to expose North Koreans to the outside world, a development that could have profound implications for the country's future. North Korea remains a complex and compelling piece in the global puzzle. Despite its isolation and the challenges it faces, its impact on international relations and its potential for change make it a country that continues to captivate and confound the world. What does the future hold for North Korea? That's a question many of us find ourselves asking. As we stand at the precipice of tomorrow, the road ahead for North Korea seems shrouded in a mist of uncertainty and speculation. One possible scenario we see is that of potential reforms. The winds of change have blown over many totalitarian regimes in the past, and North Korea may not be an exception. Economic reforms could pave the way for a more open market system, modeled perhaps after the Chinese or Vietnamese transition. This would not only improve the standard of living for the North Korean people, but might also foster a more open society, which could gradually lead to political reforms. However, this scenario largely depends on the willingness of the ruling elite to loosen their grip on power. Another scenario that may unfold is North Korea's continued isolation. Fiercely protective of its sovereignty, North Korea might choose to remain a hermit kingdom, maintaining its current political structure and economic policies. In this case, the country could continue to rely on its self-sufficiency doctrine known as juche, and continue its pursuit of nuclear weapons as a deterrent against perceived threats. While this path may ensure the regime's survival, it could also perpetuate the hardship endured by its people. And then there's the prospect of reunification with South Korea, a dream that has been held by many on both sides of the 38th parallel since the Korean War. While the path to reunification is fraught with challenges, such as the vast economic disparity and ideological differences between the two Koreas, it is not entirely impossible. The fall of the Berlin Wall and the reunification of Germany stand as a testament to this. However, The road to reunification is a long and complex one, requiring not only the political will of the two Koreas, but also that of the international community. In conclusion, the future of North Korea is as unpredictable as it is intriguing. It could pursue a path of reform, continue its isolation, or take steps toward reunification with its southern neighbor. Each path carries its own set of challenges and implications not just for the Korean peninsula but for the world at large. The future of North Korea is uncertain, but its history and present continue to captivate our global consciousness. And as we watch the road ahead unfold, we remain hopeful for a future that brings peace and prosperity to the North Korean people.